r/ask Reddit. What is something that is illegal but isn't wrong ethically? Paying for someone else's parking meter. In Keene, New Hampshire, there was a group called the Robin Hooders of Keene. They would follow around the meter maid and put quarters in the meters so they couldn't write tickets. Most of the revenue comes from the tickets, not the meters. The city tried to sue but they were unsuccessful. Some unknown benefactor paid the Robin Hooders to do it. It was part of the Libertarian Free State Project https://yahoo. Beachfed IASQ4. I love this. Downloading scientific papers from C-Hub. Paying to access scientific knowledge in general. Very few fields even pay reviewers, so the money just goes to for-profit companies. Taking food from dumpsters. My sister used to work at a Starbucks kiosk in a grocery store. At the end of the day she was supposed to throw away the pastries that were in single-use plastic wrappers and she'd write them off as disposed of and such, but she'd take them home cause we were struggling financially and was trying to provide a little extra help to her family. It was her first job and was still a teen and naive to the trouble she could get into. One day they accused her of stealing and showed the tapes of her taking them home and ended up escorting her out with security and put her on probation and just went the full 9 yards over it. She came home traumatized and sobbing. Corporate is the most inhumane system we've ever made, yet it's the one with the most power over us. It's despicable. Edit. Wow, thank you all for the medals and attention. It's sad but also nice to hear so many people resonate with my sister's story. She's moved on to better jobs and a good career path working with kids, and we are more financially stable than before, so thank you for those who asked how she was doing. Stay safe please and know you are wanted and loved. Smiling face with hearts. Sorry about your sister. I used to work in a grocery store but I knew where the cameras could see and where they couldn't. Stuff that was going to expire we'd either stash in our backpacks or eat. I got a lot of free fruit, baked goods, and I knew when they were going to put the nearly expired meat out. Nothing quite like getting a $20 steak for $5 or a couple lbs of shrimp for $2.50. Grocery stores throw away so much edible food. It's criminal in my mind that they don't make it available to the homeless or someone struggling. But they're worried about someone getting sick and suing. Exposing the crimes of the government. Based in Snowden pilled. We should be building statues of Snowden, not charging him with crimes. Living off the grid without a permit. It's hilarious, in most places in the USA there's a rule where you cannot camp on your own land for more than 2 weeks at a time. Nobody is going to give a duck if you do, but still, the rule is there. You need a long-term camping permit to do so. Literally you have to pay to live anywhere in this dumb country, haha. Land of the free, except we literally do not have even the most basic fundamental freedoms with property we, ourselves, own. I literally do not understand how people still try to call the US the land of the free or expect that somehow either Republicans or Democrats actually stands for the freedom of their constituents at all. Loitering in a park. I've always wondered why this is illegal in some places. The point of a park is to loiter. I've always wondered why this is illegal in some places because homelessness. It's not illegal to not have a home, but you better believe there are dozens of laws that are directed at, or primarily affect the homeless. Opposition in my country. Bro. Dai vodka sarilagletary balaleka sarilagletavenikai? MFS started speaking enchantment table. Downloading ROMs of old games. We all know you don't own any of those games. But if companies aren't willing to re-release them, then it should be good to download ROMs online. Copyright law really needs an overhaul. If Jaws or the original Star Wars trilogy or other total classic films were only released on Betamax, nobody would blame you for downloading a RIP, rather than hunting down a player and paying thousands for an original copy. Movies at least keep their copyright content available. The majority of video game rights don't seem to give a duck. Shout out to Square Enix though. You can still buy newly pressed copies of Chrono Cross etc on their website. Yep, my general rules of thumb are, if I already owned the game at some point in the past, I'm not going to feel guilty about emulating it however many years later unless it's still readily available. My other is if the product is not supported in any modern way, with no easy way to obtain it legitimately, then I'm not gonna feel bad either. If it's readily available, I've never owned it, I pay. Jaywalking and crossing the street on a red lights. as a pedestrian, when there are no cars around, taking food from an employer that was about to get thrown away anyway. Oh yeah, that second one is very stupid. I worked at a diner while in college and saw plenty of people get fired for eating. Like, the kitchen would mess something up, or something extra would get made, and the servers would have to just throw it away instead of eating it or boxing it up to take home. It was so incredibly dumb. On top of dumb, it's wasteful. It could help someone. There is so much unspoiled food going to the garbage, and so many people starving in first world countries. Downloading college ebooks instead of spending $400 on the latest version, which all they did was change the spelling of a few words, and called V87. 12458281648391846 of the book, and require it for your college class, even though they only use a single paragraph from chapter 13, which is a quote from a $5 book they offer in most bookstores, and then fail you from the class if you have V87. 12458281648391845 instead. I had a college professor who just made photocopies of the required book for the class and just passed them out for free. He was also the author of the book and said something like school books are a ripoff. I had a prof who spent 10 minutes going over the syllabus on the first day and then told us to spend the rest of the period going to the bookstore and getting a refund for our textbooks. Said her department required her to list a textbook that could be purchased through the bookstore, but all the problems and readings would be online. Using your own wheat grown on your own fields to feed your family bread when Congress says you can't because the wheat was grown on an acre of your land Congress designated as not for wheat. Edit. Google Wicked v. Filburn for those of you saying this is a made-up scenario. The Supreme Court decided that while this farmer was not influential on the economy alone, if many farmers did the same as him in the aggregate, they would cause harm to interstate commerce, which placed his actions under congressional regulatory authority. If you are into US constitutional law at all, this is a very important case to know. Even as conservatives introduced their own spin on commerce later, the foundation and most important bits of Wicked are still there and affect you every single day. Supreme Court ruled against a man who was charged with feeding his own livestock with his own grain that he grew, because he grew too much than what was permitted by law to sell, so he used it to feed his livestock. Wait, you can't feed your own livestock with your own grain? We have done this for over 100 years. In many municipalities, tiny homes are illegal. Edit. While this really blew up, it's also not legal in most places to build small neighborhoods anymore. Roads have to be extra wide. No dual resident dwellings. Can't have more than one front door, etc. Your typical near downtown small, cute, friendly neighborhoods couldn't be built today. Not Just Bike's gang came here via light rail to represent credentialing laws for things that don't carry much danger if you do them incorrectly, for example requiring a license to be a florist. And yet, few places require any sort of test to be an automotive mechanic, a field that can very easily maim and kill. As a mechanic I can confirm some people should not be doing it. We all share the same roads. Making an adaptation of a piece of media from your grandparents' childhood without a license because the creator died less than 75 years ago. You'll notice that copyright law's extension is closely tied to Disney. It would be fun if laws had sponsor notes, like YouTube videos, showing you who paid for them, or in many cases, directly wrote the law. Pirating media that isn't available for purchase in your area, you weren't going to get my money either way. Personally, I feel like any media that is over 30 years old should automatically have a Creative Commons license. At that point everyone made their money. Just let people enjoy it for free. There's an incredible number of orphan works that are out of print and no one is allowed to duplicate for legal reasons, and often the original creator can't be found. Stuff is literally getting lost forever because of this problem. Withdrawal of care and terminal illness in some places unfortunately. Love Cali and its dying with dignity law. It's given people control over their own lives in these circumstances and I think that's fair. You can not own more than 75 salamanders in the state of Illinois. How TF am I gonna start salamander trafficking now? Duck Illinois. Illinois has enough cold-blooded, slimy, amphibious monsters running around. In Texas you may not hold public office if you deny a supreme being. Check out section 4 for some ironic humor. Edit. Of the state constitution. Section 4 of what? Looks like it's part of the Texas state constitution. Sec. 4. Religious tests. No religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust in this state, nor shall anyone be excluded from holding office on account of his religious sentiments, provided he acknowledge the existence of a supreme being. Source. It is illegal for restaurants in Kansas to sell cherry pie a la mode on Sunday. Of course not. It's Sunday. Jeez. What's wrong with you heathens? Tull says that there is nothing about cherry pie or ice cream being illegal to sell in Kansas on a Sunday or any other day for that matter. She pointed me to some very old statutes, going all the way back to 1855. Sections 31 and 34 became part of Chapter 21, Article 9 of the statutes dealing with crimes against public morals and decency. They were repealed in 1963. According to Tull, below is the wording from the books. Source. Singing in the shower. Pennsylvania law. I still do it lol. Open bracket. Edit. Please stop asking for citation. I have no clue. I just remembered the law when I saw the question. And can't remember the site. Criminal scum. To the gallows. Being gay is still illegal in a lot of countries, but it really shouldn't be. How do you stop being gay? That's just bullshit. Being gay isn't illegal, but doing gay stuff can be. That's how they get here. Handing out water to people waiting in line to vote. Loitering. You can't stand here, Wyatt. Well, you can stand there, just not for too long. What's too long? Double quote. When I say so. Dual citizen. In some countries. Laughs and dual citizenship. Seriously, why is this illegal? Open bracket. In some country, it's obviously not doing any harm to the society. Well, there might be some extra paperwork though, but they aren't illegal. Sleeping in your car. This. If I am late and feel exhausted, I should be able to park on the side and sleep for a bit. Pirating games when the actual company doesn't make a single cent off them anyway. Looking at you, Nintendo. Fun fact. Do you remember those black, different shaped cartridges and blue ones? Those were all technically pirate games. Those companies didn't want to pay Nintendo's high licensing fees and engineered their cartridges to break the NES's licensing DRM check. Playing on a playground after it closes, usually after 8 or 9 PM. Playgrounds have opening hours. Guessing this is in America. Paying someone else's parking meter so it doesn't expire. Technically, giving my brother a titty twister would be considered assault, but ethically I justify it because he makes nerdy jokes at my expense. Making photocopies of sheet music. Some people may disagree with me. You'll probably get a ticket if you stop traffic to hurry along a family of ducks. Not on my state and the US. In fact, there are even signs saying you have to stop to allow them to cross. Downloading ROMs. It helps to keep those games preserved. Especially when there aren't any legitimate ways of buying those games anymore. I guarantee every single actual dev of those games loves that they're being downloaded and preserved. I got fined for enjoying full moon at the beach. I missed the sign that I shouldn't have parked after 8 PM. Totally sucks. I was arrested for this. Sign said no trespassing after dark. I stood in front of a judge and said, "Sorry, I didn't see the sign. It was dark out." The judge rolled his eyes and let me off. Similar, I was busted at the perimeter of a park, sitting on a bench, talking on the phone. Judge rolled his eyes. "You were in a park after dark. Do you now know you can't be in that park after dark?" Dismissed. Seemed quite annoyed this crossed his desk when there were far more serious cases that day. Smoking weed in a state that's not gotten their shit together. Technically, smoking weed is still illegal everywhere in the US. States can't override federal law. They can only say, "We're not going to enforce it." The federal government doesn't prosecute people for pot anymore, but they still can. So what you saying applies to all states. Being an unmarried woman in Florida and skydiving on a Sunday. Handling salmon in a suspicious manner. Police. Is that ducking fish Jenga? How so I say this, but pulling the plug on old people living with dementia. We keep some people alive that are now shells of themselves. Because $. It's ethically okay to put a dog down who no longer has a good quality of life, but not a human, and that has never made sense to me. Same with tube tying. My cat gets spayed. Oh yay. It's great to do, and easy to get done because there's overpopulation of kitties. Too many cats, not enough homes, and caring for kittens is tough. I don't want to have kids, and in my own ethical system it would be wrong to do so, and I know I'd never afford it. Plus look at the state of the world, but as a woman getting your tubes tied can take years and years. Cost a fortune. Need to already be a certain age. OBWH at if you W and kiddies later. Husband needs to sign off on it. Most doctors will refuse if you don't already have 4 kids. Suicide evidence. Sex out of wedlock, I mean, that is illegal in at least one place in the world, right? Feeding the homeless. Prostitution. A woman selling sex is literally the oldest transaction in human history. 20,000 years ago it was usually for food and shelter. Today it's for green cards or Gucci handbags. Sex is a commodity. That's why Madison Ave uses sex to sell you everything from soda pop to toothpaste. But when a woman uses her own sexuality for her benefit, then it's wrong? Nah, you just hate women. Assisted suicide. In Germany it's illegal to put hands on the steering wheel as a passenger, even if the driver is unconscious. Prostitution. Everyone does it for free. Why can't you get paid? I guess you get paid if you film it. Dumpster diving self-defense. Depends on what country. Lighting your neighbor's car on fire after he poisoned your dog. Collecting rainwater. Doing psychedelic drugs. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.